Is this the perfect holiday cookie to give away and eat? Maybe. It's intensely chocolatey, crisp with a lovely creamy peppermint top and a beautiful color. It's so cute. Hi, I'm Carolyn, and this is the Chili Bakes Gluten-Free podcast and YouTube channel. And today we're making Double Chocolate Biscotti with peppermint. Oh my gosh, it's going to be so amazing. You have to make this. Thanks for joining me here again. And if you haven't been here, I'm the baker that makes traditional bakes gluten-free that are so good you don't miss the wheat. I'm so excited to bake with you today. This is a fun and easy bake, and it's so delicious. It gives well, it saves well. Well, if you have anything left. Anyway, let's get to baking. You don't need any special equipment for today's recipe. It helps to have a big baking pan, like a cookie sheet. I have a full sheet pan that I can put parchment on it. You could line it with Silpat, which is a silicone mat, or you could just grease it. It's easier if you have parchment, so it comes off easier, but you don't have to have it. So as far as ingredients, beyond what I regularly use to bake, cocoa powder. We have a lot of cocoa powder. 3/4 of a cup plus 2 tablespoons goes in the recipe. So they're intensely chocolatey, which is amazing. And we're going to use candy canes to decorate the icing. I was going to say the icing. We're going to put melted chocolate on the top of the biscotti when it's done. You don't have to, but that's how I'm going to do it. And so I'm going to have candy canes and I'm going to crush them. And you could add them to regular white chocolate, or you could use these, which are they Hershey's? They must be Hershey's because they're Kisses. These are Peppermint Kisses. They have a cute red stripe. I'm going to melt some of these and dip the biscotti in them, so they're going to be super duper festive. But you could actually use white chocolate instead. Another thing I was going to say is that I'm not going to add peppermint extract to the actual biscotti. You can if you want peppermint chocolate and then the peppermint topping, but I really wanted a pure chocolate base with peppermint, I was going to say scented. It will be scented and flavored white chocolate. So that is your choice if you want to add a little, like a half a teaspoon of peppermint extract in addition to the vanilla. That would be great. I'm not going to do that today, but it's totally your choice. Anyway, the next thing you need to do is preheat your oven to 350. Biscotti is baked twice, so the first bake is at 350 and the second one's at 325. So let's get to baking. Oops, I forgot to say that one of the other ingredients you may not have is espresso powder. I really like to have it. You can add a teaspoon or two to your chocolate bakes. It really enriches the flavor. It makes them even better. If you don't like it, you don't have to use it, but it's a really nice thing to have. I like this brand. I would try to pronounce it, but that's going to go poorly. But it's in every grocery store. I love it lots. Oops, I forgot to tell you. So this is something great to add to. Oh my gosh. Do you guys like baking? Do you like hanging out with me in the kitchen? I like hanging out with you. I like sharing what I do and sharing my gluten-free bakes so that you can enjoy delicious gluten-free that you just can't get in the store. They either don't make the kind you like, or it's so disgusting you just end up wasting your money. So if you're enjoying hanging out with me, it really helps me if you rate, review, and subscribe. Yeah, that thing. Subscribing really helps me so that I know that you're enjoying what I'm doing. Send me pictures of your bake. Let me know what's happening. Let me know if you're enjoying the bakes. I'm here for you. We're going to bake great gluten-free together. Here are the dry ingredients. We have 1 3/4 cups Cup4Cup Multipurpose Gluten-Free Flour. And we have 1/4 cup blanched almond flour. Hi, Emma. You're a good girl, but right now you're not going out. I love you. And then we have 3/4 cups plus 2 tablespoons cocoa powder. And then we have sweet rice flour. I add it to give a little bit more of the weedy chew to gluten-free flour. And here's a teaspoon of salt. I like to use regular small grain salt for this because it dissolves better than the bigger grains. Then we have a teaspoon of baking soda. Make sure there are no lumps. That's the one that likes to get lumpy. And then the last thing is a teaspoon of protein powder isolate. I know it's kind of weird, but it helps keep the chew, because gluten-free flour doesn't have the same protein content as regular flour. So some things it needs a little help with. So you don't have to add it, but it'll make your biscotti a little crispier. And then we're going to whisk. It is a lot of dry cocoa powder, which is great. But if you do it slowly, you won't get cocoa powder everywhere. I like this recipe because there's a lot of chocolate flavor. Instead of just melted chocolate, which has a lot of flavor, this cocoa powder will make it very chocolatey. So we'll just mix this. I'm going to finish off camera, and then there is the dry ingredients. Always so simple, but the best place to mess up your recipe is with the dry ingredients, so really pay attention to this part. and make sure everything's mixed well. Let's start the wet ingredients. We have 4 tablespoons of softened butter. I like to use salted butter. I know it's supposed to be better to use unsalted, but for whatever reason, I like salted. Plus that way I can eat it too. And I don't want to eat, unsalted butter. So we have 4 ounces of butter, and we're going to add a cup of granulated sugar and a cup of light brown sugar. And we're going to cream this together. All right, so what you're left with is an almost sandy looking mixture because there's a lot of sugar and not that much butter. And biscotti doesn't have a lot of butter usually, so that makes sense. This one has more sugar than some of the biscotti recipes, but it has so much cocoa powder it would be really bittersweet if we didn't add that much sugar. So I'm just going to scrape down to make sure there's no giant chunks. Whoa. And then we're going to add our eggs here. We have 3 large eggs that are going in, and we're going to beat these in. Okay, I'm going to finish this off, I was going to say camera, so that you don't have to listen to it. All right, the eggs are completely mixed in. It's a nice creamy mixture. I'm going to scrape just to make sure there's no dry sugar at the bottom and no big lumps of butter that have escaped the beaters. And the next thing I'm going to add is the coffee, actually it's the espresso, powdered espresso, but I'm going to dissolve it in the, vanilla extract first. You can just add the coffee extract, but then you end up with little bits of coffee extract, like little dots. So I'm just going to dissolve it in here because I didn't want to add extra liquid. And there's my oven. Did you hear it? It's very cheery. All right. In the extract goes dissolved in 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. Scrape that out a little bit. Oh my gosh. All right, I'll have to get something else to scrape it out because my spatula is giant. There we go. Now, if you really hate a coffee, you don't have to add the extract. It does heighten the chocolate flavor, though. So you could just add the 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, and that would be fine. All right, the last thing to add is the dry ingredients here. Oh, so I dump it on the table. Okay, the dough is getting really thick. I'm going to mix the rest of it by hand, and then I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. After mixing by hand, we have a very thick, super chocolatey dough. I did use my Dutch whisk. You could also use a wooden spoon or anything else that cuts through heavy-duty dough. We're going to add a scant cup of chocolate chips, dark chocolate chips. It's going to just ramp up the chocolateness even more. I would not use thick or big chips because I think that when you cut it, it makes it harder if the biscotti is cold to cut through the chunks without, breaking the biscotti. So in they go. Okay, let's get the dough out of the whisk here. Get out. And we're going to divide this in half. We're going to make 2 loaves, kind of flat, long loaves out of this. And you don't have to be perfect dividing, but yeah. Just try to divide it in half. Here's our parchment lined full sheet, baking sheet. And we're just going to take the biscotti, kind of dump it on there. All right, my best way of doing this, sorry, my hand's messy, is to use damp hands and just kind of pat it out. We don't want it really high because we want it to bake evenly and bake fairly quickly. So we're going to make a loaf that's about a couple inches wide and long, kind of like a flat loaf of bread. All right, I'm going to get back to you so you don't have to watch me struggle through this. All right, we're using a slightly dampened hand to kind of even them out. They just should be about the same thickness so they cook evenly. I couldn't get it as thin as I wanted, that's okay. And actually I moved them onto new parchment because I got it messy. So do it how you like. It might be a little funky, but just get it about the same thickness and then it'll cook just fine. You're going to cut it into slices so it's not going to be beautiful anyway. And there we go. There's our biscotti logs. They're going in the oven at 350 for about 30 minutes, depending on your oven. So please check before they're ready, just in case. And in they go. Here's what the bake looks like. It looks a little crazy. It looks like a mudslide. Smells delicious. Yes, I had a piece. I get it. I'm the baker. That's what I get to do is taste it. Anyway, it needs to cool for a while before we slice it and rebake it. But it's slightly firm in the middle, and we're going to let it sit for a while. Then we're going to rebake it. Let's preheat your oven to 325 degrees. Your biscotti should have cooled for about 10 minutes. Honestly, mine got a little bit cooler than I wanted, and it may break at the edges, but I'm not going to worry about it. So we're going to cut it into slices with a serrated knife, about a ½ inch thick. And we're going to cut them, we're going to put them on the baking sheet cut slice down and bake them for about 15 minutes until they get nice and crisp. So here are the twice baked biscotti. I spread them out on a tray to decorate them. They're really nice and crisp. It took about 15 minutes. And this is a good time to store them if you don't want to make them right away. You can put them in a Ziploc bag once they're totally cool and then decorate them when you want. So for me, I like to have a lot of melted chocolate on mine. So what I'm going to do here is just pour some of I melted the Hershey's, these are the Peppermint Kisses. So they might have a little bit of a pink appearance. I'm going to try to keep some of the stripes. I don't know if that's going to work today. And I like to kind of pour it over the top so it drips over. And then I'm going to put the candy cane pieces on. So let's do that. This should be melted. Oh, look at that. And we're just going to kind of pour some down here. If I get it stripy, will be awesome. It already has peppermint bits. There we go. Okay, that's a little excessive. They're not always pretty. Okay, there's one. And then you can put some extra peppermint bits on there. Because remember, I didn't put any peppermint in the dough because I just want it on the top. And there you go. All right, let's do another one here. Try not to pour it everywhere. And I poured it even further. Yeah. All right, I do like the drip over the side because I like a lot of chocolate, because that's me. Now, let's do it with the same peppermint, but also you could add a little bit of mini chocolate chips if you want, which is super pretty, or even some chocolate jimmies, which I don't have very many of, but it's your choice what you'd like to put on it. But look how cute those look. And I'm going to keep doing the whole tray here. Let's check out this beautiful bake. This is Double Chocolate Biscotti with peppermint. It has the peppermint flavored kisses on top with chunks of candy cane. Look how cute that is. It's got a bright pink top and a deeply chocolate base with chocolate chips in there. It's super crispy. I'm going to take a bite. This is take number 3, so this is all that's left of my biscotti, but it's delicious. It's crispy and creamy. Hear that crunch? The candy canes get chewy as you continue to chew with the really crisp, deeply chocolate cookie and the creamy peppermint topping. It is so delicious and so pretty, right? Look at how cute this is. This is a cookie that saves really well. It's fun to give away, and it tastes better than any biscotti you're going to buy in the store. Seriously, there's more flavor in just the bottom part of this biscotti than most cookies. And it's gluten-free. Oh my gosh. Anyway, one more thing I wanted to show you. If you didn't want to use the peppermint kisses, you can use white chocolate, which looks extremely pretty too, right? I think it's a little prettier with the white chocolate, but you need a little bit more mint. So if you make it with a white chocolate topping instead of the kisses, the peppermint kisses, add some peppermint to the cookie. And I did it the same way. So see the difference there? One's pink, one's white. Both are cute. You can also do a dip. Look how cute it is with a dip. So those are choices you can make. I put mini chips in a couple of these, which was also very cute. You get to choose. You make it as pretty as you want. Anyway, that's our bake today. I hope you decide to make it. I hope you want to share it. I'm really looking forward to eating the rest of my bite because it's so delicious and it's hard to put down, which is always the good mark of a good bake. is that you don't want to put it down to keep talking. So thanks for joining me in the kitchen. My next bake is mid-January. I'm going to take a couple week break. We're going to do a mystery bake because who knows what I feel like making in January, but it's going to be delicious and gluten-free, and I'm going to be here and I'm going to be sharing with you. So if you want some more baking tips, etc., recipes, you can go to my website, my blog. I will still be doing shorts and Instagram and TikTok, all those things, so I'll be doing some gluten-free stuff in the meantime, but the next long form video won't be till mid-January. So thank you again for hanging out with me on my channel. I hope you enjoy this biscotti. It is so good. I'm gonna eat the rest of this. Until then, till next time, eat something good, eat something gluten-free and good, make it yourself. It's so much better. Ow, I bit my lip. All right guys, happy holidays.